Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Recap of verse 11. Verse 11 என்னன்னு சொல்றாங்க, detached observer ever conscious of the very observer is ourselves. Observerனா என்ன, நம்ம detached இருக்கணும். We all know what detachment is. Detachment is detachment with everything, anything around us. Being an observer. Being an observer, what does this mean actually? It is, for me, to my understanding, observer, like monotonous thing, that mundane things that we do every day in life, morning till evening, we do some things unconsciously, like eating food. Eating food, whatever there is in the plate, we eat unconsciously. And one other thing is brushing our teeth. We brush our teeth, are we very conscious which bristle touches which part of our teeth? So we have to be consciously doing it. So being an observer is that we consciously do everything in our life from morning till we go back to bed. So when that happens, what happens is we are very conscious about that observer in ourselves. So we'll be very conscious in everything we do. So we'll become an observer of ourselves. What happens when we become the observer of ourselves? We identify the self. And this witness attitude is called Sakshi Bhava. So with this witness, attitude, when we start doing everything, what happens? It purifies the ego. So we'll be very careful in everything we do. We talk, we move, even a step we take and keep, we'll be very conscious of what we are doing. So in that way, what happens? Our ego will be purified, mind becomes clearer, steadier, and this, when the mind becomes clearer, what happens? The reflection of the divine consciousness happens. When our mind is clear, that is when we'll be able to see the consciousness inside us. Okay. So then in verse 12, that is peace of steadfastness, renouncing egocentric sense of agency, bound, tied down to some expected result of his own action. What happens? We are bound to our own action. So because of that, we start expecting the results. So when that result is favorable, we'll start doing more. When the result is not favorable, then we'll start acting what to do to negate the result. So in that way, what happens? Our egocentric is always in action. It is like a frog trying to go to a gym, do the exercise and try to become a bull. So every day in our life, we try to become something else. Other than that, our concentration is not on anything else, and we are not ready to renounce the actions or sense organs or anything related to it. So only that when we have to be very careful in renouncing the sense actions and the fruits of actions. Only then we can see the self. So sannyasa is not mere physical escapism. We all think that just wearing orange robe, going sitting in one place, we can attain sannyasa. No. It is a mental withdrawal from things that are unintelligent and thoughtless. Basically, what we spoke about that in the other two verses, that is mentally we have to be stable and mentally we have to be pure, and that is the state of sannyasa. Sannyasa is a self-controlled, who is a sannyasa? Sannyasa person who is a self-controlled individual. And what happens? He is renounced all his egocentric and desire-prompted actions. So he doesn't want anything in life. Whatever comes by, he takes it. Whatever, if nothing happens also, he is happy in his own self. So in that state, what happens is he becomes the king of the 7 gateways in the human body. It is called a city of 9 gates because we have 10 gateways. The body has 9 gateways. So we the Atman inside the 9 gateways. When we identify the self, we become the king of this body. So what happens in that state? He comes to live in nameless joy, contentment, and peace. Then The nature of a self-control man of perfection and his experience. It is two words are mentioned in this two verses. One is Vibhu and the next is Prabhu. It is a God principle. Both states about the Atman. So the Supreme Self relationship. What is the relationship between the Atma and the Anatma? The Supreme Self creates or sanctions any action, results of action. That is, do you think the Supreme Self acts in anything we do? It's only the observer. Does it participate in any of the we talk or nothing? What does the self? Only because Atma is inside us, all the other agencies are working. That is, eyes, nose, the whole body is acting only because the Atman is inside us. If the Atman is not there, we will be the Jada. So exactly, when we see a water flowing, what happens? Do we see the exact reflection? No. The reflection moves along with the water flow. So Atman is reflected through this Anatma. So because it is reflected through the Anatma, we not see the pure self. We see the egocentric self. So that is the relationship between the Atma and the Anatma. So basically, we've seen this example many times. It's like electricity. Electricity is invisible to us, and we have ports everywhere in the room and wherever we go. So we want to connect any electrical gadget, we connect the electrical gadget, and that electrical gadget performs its duty. Example, you connect a fan, then it gives us the required. You connect a radio, then it sings. Same way, we all are different bodies. But Atma is the common thing that is present in each of us. It is reflected through the egocentric self of us. That's why we see various different characters, not the exact original Atma. So the enjoyer of fruit and performer of action in us are the ego, not the Atman. Then the Supreme, who's all pervading, that is Vibhu. Vibhu and Prabhu are similar. Gods or deities don't have any merit and demerit of us. They don't take any demerit of us. They are not there to count whatever wrong we are doing or whatever right we are doing. We are accountable for the karma, whatever we do. So, self passing through knowledge, Jnana emerges out as a self. When we have knowledge, what happens? It's like a plain glass, what you see in the mirror. When the glass is pure, when the glass is clear, what happens when the sunlight passes through the light? The reflection is also clear. It is the pure sunlight that comes through the glasses. But whereas you're in the egocentric body, that is, you are very much attached to the Anatma, then it is like a stained glass. How? When the light passes through the stained glass, the reflection is multicolored and it is in various different colors where all the egos and emotions are portrayed. So when knowledge comes, ignorance has to depart. But knowledge, what happens here is we all have the knowledge, but the knowledge is enveloped in the ignorance. Because of that, we are not able to identify the self. And through years of our birth, death, and rebirth, Punarpi Janam and Punarpi Madam, we are so much attached to this embodiment, this body. So we are not able to identify the real self. Stand பண்ணிடுவாங்க உங்க வருஷம் சார் உங்க வருஷம் சார் ஆமாங்க சார் சரிங்க சார் நான் சொல்றேன் ஆக்சுவலி ஞானேன துத்ததா ஞானம் ஞானேன துத்ததா ஞானம் येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषमादित्यवज्ञानं
प्रकाशयति तत्परम् प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
However, knowledge implements that supreme Atma like the sun for those whose ignorance of Atma is destroyed by knowledge. This example, we see a cloudy sky. Do we see the sun? But do we assume there is sun? That is what it is. Atma is being surrounded by the Anatma. We forget to see the originality of the Atma and we think Anatma, the egocentric body, is what Yada Ahankaram is. It's like example of the sun. And you see a big mountain, you use your thumb and hide the mountain will be hidden. But is it really hidden? Only for your eyes it is hidden, but not for the so that is what the Atman is. The self is hidden in the embodiment, which is clearly not seen. It can be seen only when your mind is crystal clear. So that happens when you perform the karma yoga, where you burn away all the vasanas and the egos, and then your mind gets purified and you see the purity of the Atma. Akka.
Oh, chanting. Tadbuddhaya satatman.
Tadbuddhaya satatmanaha.
Astanishtastatparaayanaha.
Astanishtastatparaayanaha.
Gacchantya punaravritiम्.
Gacchantya punaravritiम्.
Jnana-nirtūta-kalmashaha.
Jnana-nirtūta-kalmashaha. Those who the knowledge of that Brahman, who have that Brahman as the Atma, who are established in that Brahman, who have that Brahman as the supreme goal and whose impurities are completely destroyed by knowledge, attain the goal of non-return. We all have doubts. When we become a Jnani, what happens? Do we return back to this egocentric body? No. That is the essence of this verse. Tat means what? My own higher self. Parayanaha, ultimate goal of my life. I should be happy, and secure, not because of external conditions. I should be happy, fulfilled, secure, despite of external conditions. This is called inner freedom. This inner free self is called moksha. This independence is called Brahman. Is the sea worried because river is emptying into it? Is the sea happy because river is emptying into it? No. Is the sea worried that there is no water in the river to empty itself into its ocean? But in spite of it, what the ocean does, the condensation happens only because of the ocean, and the river is born only because of the ocean. That is whatever happens inside, outside, we should not be worried. Inside, we should be fulfilled, and only then we get inner freedom. Tat Paranaga, I got my direction in my life. Tat Buddhaha, I come to scriptures which talk about my higher independence self. Tat Buddhihi Atma Jnana. So what does the scriptures talk and teach us is Atma. Atma Jnana. That is to attain moksha, we should do karma yoga and jnana yoga. Only then our mind will be pure to attain Atma Jnana. So even after knowing my higher self, I do not identify with that higher self. I get addicted to my ahankara. It's called vasana dehatma. I have to train myself to switch to lower high, to switch the lower high to higher high. Here Swamiji compares a person living in a slum area. He's been provided with the house, better place, better atmosphere to live in. But will that person go live there? No, he'll rent that place out and will be happily staying in the slum. That is what Swamiji is telling. We all are doing. Even though this Atma Jnanam is provided to you, are we ready to accept the Atma Jnanam? No, we are happy in this samsara, enjoying all the pains and pleasure. So identification standpoint happens only with the body. So our relationship identity with the family remains the same. We start observing the relationship as role play. This is called Nitya. So once we find the higher I, do we forget the body or do we die? No. Only the egocentric ahankara, the I, the lower I is dead. But we stay in the higher I. But is the relationship lost as soon as we get jnana? The role of a wife changes, role of a husband changes, role of a father changes. No, we play the same role. We cook, we do everything. Only that we'll have a equilibrium mind where nothing affects us and we are in a neutral space. This body is an incidental equipment I use. These sense organs are incidental instruments I use. Even the mind, intellect are only incident medium I operate through. I am not the instruments, I am the consciousness behind the instrument. This will be the thought of every jnani. That is, he'll be performing the duties, he'll be performing all the things whatever person does in a grihastha life, but he will never be attached and he will not claim any of the things that he perform as his own. He will be detached from the action, whatever action he performs. So first, value for discovering the higher self. The next stage is discovering the higher self. Then next stage is learning to identify the higher self, disidentify from the lower self. Final stage is the identification with the higher self becomes natural. These are the 4 stages that we've seen in this verse. Such people are called Brahmanishta, Jnananishta. The one who have attained these qualities, they are called as Brahmanishta or Jnananishta. Jnanidhutakhalmashtaha. They are free from all impurities, washed off by knowledge, and all the impurities are gone. This is called Jivan Mukti. Apunaravirtam, they attain Videha Mukti. That Videha Mukti is attained at the time of their death. When we are alive, when we attain moksha, which is called Jivan Mukti. They are free from Punarpi Janamam and Punarpi Mananam. When we attain Videha Mukti, the rebirth is not for a jnani.
அந்த picture என்ன
அதாவது நீங்க என்னதான் ஃபேமிலியில இருந்தாலும் whatever family you live in a family, you will be a family man. But the inner, you will have inner freedom where you will not be affected by anything in life.
இந்த ட்ரெஸ் போடணுமான்னு கேக்குறேன்.
To identify, he is with the family, but inner self identify பண்றதுக்காக. You will be a normal person. You will be eating, you will be sleeping, you will be wearing a normal dress that you've been wearing even now. But only difference will be you will be detached and you will have inner freedom. Vidya vinayasa sampanne,
Vidya vinayasa sampanne,
Brahmane ghavi astini,
Brahmane kavi hastini,
Shuni chaiva svabhake,
Suni saiva svabhake,
Chapandhitaha samadarshinaha,
Sapanditaha samadarshinaha.
The wise people see the same Brahman in a Brahman who has knowledge, the humility in an elephant, in a dog, and in a dog. Here, okay, before going to the verse, the gold in ornament, in any ornament we wear, is made up of gold. What do we see? Even though it is a bangle, it is a gold. So, even though it is an ocean, do we identify the ocean and the waves different? That is how a state of Jnani's mind will be. He will not differentiate anything, anyone before him. For us, whatever we see in us is what we see with the others right in front of us. So a jnani state of mind will be the same. He is seeing the self in him, so he will see everything, whatever he sees them as only a different entity. But in it, everything will be the self, the Atma. So egoless man, having recognized himself to God, can find in no way any distinctions in the outer world of names or forms. As far as life is concerned, it is the same everywhere at all times. For him, he can live in a five-star hotel or even on even in a slum. But for him, the life is the same. For him, everything is the same. So here, Krishna talks about a cow, a Brahman. A Brahman is a person who is a well-learned person, not a Brahman, not the ones that do things for the sake of money. Here, Krishna talks about a Brahman who is a highly educated and a jnani. And then he talks about the cow. Cow is the sacred animal that we consider in the Hinduism because they are equal to the devas. And the elephant is always a symbol of Vinayaka, so we consider it auspicious. The dogs, even though the dogs are termed as the lowest graded animals, they are also very faithful to the humans and sometimes they help the humans in many ways. And the other lower category they talk about is uncultured person. Here Puranas always they talk about person who eat dog meat are considered the lowest. So these four are compared. It can be anyone, but the self-realized person has an equal eye on everyone. It can be a Brahmin, can be a cow, it can be an elephant, it can be a dog, it can be a dog eater, it can be whomever. But for him, everyone are in different bodies. That's our embodiment. That's it. But Atma is the same. He sees everyone as the self, the Atma, the truth. So everywhere he realizes the presence of the same truth. For example, there was a one wealthy man who lived and he had idols of Anjaneya, Sri Rama, Lakshmana and Sita made out of gold. He passes away. So what his son does, he is greedy and he wanted to sell off the idol and make money out of it. So he took this Anjaneya idol to the goldsmith. Goldsmith melted the idol, checked the purity and he gave him the money. He happily spent it off. Then the second, he took Lakshmana idol and he did the same thing as he did with the idol of Anjaneya. And the third, he took Sri Rama. And what happened was the jeweler paid the exact amount the gold he valued for. He measured the gold, he checked the purity. But that person, this is Sri Rama's idol, so you have to pay me extra. Sri Rama value jasti. The jeweler said, for me it is only gold. You can bring anything you want. But this is same as Anjaneya idol or Lakshmana idol. Because it has the name of Sri Rama, it is not more value. So the self-realized state, after he realizes the self, he sees nothing but the same everywhere. For him, knowledge and humility, a dog or an elephant or a dog eater are all different embodiments containing the same truth. Equal vision is the essential hallmark of a realization. When we start seeing each individual as the Atma, that is a equal vision that becomes a hallmark for us to understand that we have reached the state of Jnani. A Jnani cannot make distinctions based upon likes and dislikes or all forms and situations. He experiences his own self. Before I end this word, I like to add from Gautam's Shrutis, that is Shankara, he's written one specific, he's given one example that respecting a Brahmin, respecting a dog, like how we respect a Brahmin is also not right. And respecting a Brahmin, like how we respect a dog is also not right. That is, we have to see everyone in a same equal state. அதாவது நாய் பார்க்குற மாதிரி பிராமணனை பார்க்க முடியாது, பிராமணுக்கு கொடுக்குற மரியாதை மாதிரி நம்ம நாய்க்கு கொடுக்க முடியாது. So எல்லாருமே ஒரே மாதிரி தான் ஆனா கொடுக்கணும் தெரியும். அது it can be a Brahmin, it can be a dog, it can be an elephant, anything maybe, but the respect should be the same. Oh, இது கௌதம ஸ்மிருதி.
Ivaivataijita sadgo,
Ivaivataijita sadgo,
yesham samye sthitam manah,
yesham samye sthitam manah,
nirdosham hi samam brahma,
nirdosham hi samam brahma,
tasmat brahmani te sthitah,
tasmat brahmani te sthitah.
Here, birth itself is overcome by those whose mind is established in sameness. Adadu, Punarapi Maradam, Punarapi Jananam. That cycle of birth and death is overcome by those people whose mind is established in sameness. Previous verses on the Samadarshina. Same thing he is repeating here. Brahman is indeed the same and defectless. God, on the soul of Brahman. Therefore, they are established in Brahman. Samadarshina. Previous verse introduced from the same topic. It is the capacity of an individual for a person to treat everyone around him in the same way. No preferences, no discrimination. He sees himself in others. And similarly, when we talk about Samadarshana or Samaha, it also means to overcome likes and dislikes of our own. எனக்கு இந்த பிளேஸ் தான் பிடிக்கும், அங்க உட்கார்ந்தா பிடிக்காது, எனக்கு ரெட் தான் பிடிக்கும், பிளாக் பிடிக்காது, எனக்கு சில பேரை தான் பிடிக்கும், மற்றவங்களை பிடிக்காது. It also comes to individual comfort zone பத்தி சொல்றோம். இதுல வந்து only when we overcome this discrimination and we are able to treat everyone as the same, we realize the true self at that point. In the Marudiyam, Swamiji is giving the example of the ocean and waves. The wave doesn't think itself as different from the ocean. ஒரே தண்ணினா wave doesn't think நான் வேற, I'm traveling so fast, I'm so strong, நான் அந்த வேவை விட பெட்டரா போறேன் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறது இல்லை. Similarly, the wave is also not worried that when it reaches the shore, its life is over. It doesn't worry how fast it hits the shore, how slow it hits the shore. There's no competition there. Similarly, once we realize that we are all the same, what is in me is in the other person, I will also be a part of the whole. As the wave is a part of the ocean, I will overcome my anxiety for the future. I won't be worried about what the results of my actions are or what is going to happen to me in life. And when we gain this knowledge, we discover the true self or Atman, and we are freed from the cycle of birth and death. One point I just wanted to add. When we realize the self-knowledge or Atman, Atman is the true embodiment of the Brahman. It is pure, it is free from any faults. இங்கே வந்து அதில் இருக்கு நிர்தோஷம், எந்த விதமான தோஷமும் இல்லாத ஆத்மன். So once we learn to identify with the Atman, we are exposed to the best. அப்போ வந்து நம்மளோட பாடி மைண்ட் காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ், நம்மளோட அகங்காரமோடு நம்ம ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ண மாட்டோம், பண்ணவும் கூடாது. ஸோ அட்டைன்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் செல்ஃப் நாலேஜ் ஆர் ரியலைசேஷன் ஆஃப் தி ஆத்மன் will help us to move away from our ahankaram and identify with the higher life.
When the knowledge comes, ignorance goes away. And when you start realizing yourself, then naturally the egocentric body moves away.
न प्रतिष्ठे प्रियं प्राप्य
न प्रक्षे प्रियं प्राप्य
नो विजय प्राप्य च प्रियं
नो विजय प्राप्य चाप्रियम्
स्थिरबुद्धिरसंयुक्तो
स्थिरबुद्धिरसंयुक्तो
ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः
ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः
facing the pleasant he is not elated and facing the unpleasant he is not depressed. A knower of Brahman is firm in knowledge, free from delusion, and is established in Brahman. தமிழ்ல ஒரு விளக்கம் சொல்லிடுறோம். எந்த ஒரு இது அதாவது நல்ல ஒரு புத்தி ஸ்டடியான ஒரு புத்தியில இருந்துட்டா அந்த ஃபேஸ் நமக்கு வந்து ப்ராப்ளம் வந்தாலும் சரி அந்த மைண்ட் அதுல சேஞ்ச் ஆகாது. அதே மாதிரி சந்தோஷம் வந்தாலும் அதுல இது வராது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ராமாயணத்துல ராமன் வந்து ஃபேஸ் காட்டுக்கு போகும்போது லக்ஷ்மணனுக்கு பயங்கர கோபம் வருது. அவர் போய் அப்பாவை கூட அவர் அப்பான்னு கூட பார்க்கல. நான் போய் அவனால கொண்டுட்டு வந்துடுறேன் அவனை வெட்டிட்டு வந்துடுறேன்லாம் கோவப்படுறாரு. பட் ராமன் வந்து அந்த மாதிரி இல்லாம ஒரே இதா இருக்காரு. இல்ல இது நான் பார்க்கிறேன் அந்த இது வந்து ஒரே மாதிரி எவ்வளோ சந்தோஷம் வந்தாலும் துக்கம் வந்தாலும் ஒரே மாதிரி எடுத்துக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு தான் இந்த இதை கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. Our life is governed by 3 factors: Desa, Kala, Prarabdha. Surroundings, environment, and the people, etc. That is Desa. Whether we like or not, to face the onslaught of the world. Second thing, we cannot escape in Kala, is Kala. The time is flowing, our body has aging. Kala போயிட்டே இருக்கும், நம்ம உடம்பு மாறிக்கும், எல்லாமே நடக்கும். ரிங்கிள்ஸ் வரும், நீ பெயின்ஸ் வரும், கிரே ஹேர் வரும். ஆனாலும் அதையும் நம்ம வந்து ஈக்குவலா எடுத்துக்கணும். Third factor which varies from individual to individual is Prarabdha. Desa and Kala are same. If 2 people living in Madras in same house, one can act it, other can. ஒருத்தருக்கு வந்து ஒரே ஏஜ், 2 பேருக்கும் 60 வயசு தான். ஆனா ஒருத்தர் வந்து பார்த்தா நல்ல யங்கா எனர்ஜெட்டிக்கா ரொம்ப எல்லா விஷயமும் ஆக்டிவா நல்லா இருக்காரு. இன்னொருத்தர் 60 ஏஜ்ல இருக்காரு, ஆனா பார்த்தா 100 வயசான மாதிரி அவருக்கு மூட்டு வலியில இருந்து எல்லாம் வந்து இந்த மாதிரி ஆயிடுறாரு. ஆனாலும் இதுதான் லைஃப் நம்ம இதை எடுத்துக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி அவங்க இதை சொல்றாங்க. இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் காரணம் பூர்வ ஜென்ம கர்மா. 3 factors are going to influence our life, whether we are Jnani or Ajnanis. We have ups and downs caused by these 3. சூழ்நிலைக்கு ஏற்ப வித்தியாசம் இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு பகவான் சொல்றாரு. நீங்க நேரத்தையும் முயற்சியை வீணாக்குறதுக்கு பதிலா உங்களுடைய அணுகுமுறையை மாத்திக்கணும். இப்ப இது இப்படிதான் இருக்குமா, இப்படியே நம்ம போறதை விட இதை எப்படி நம்ம ஃபேஸ் பண்ணலாம் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி எடுத்துக்கணும். இதுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு மன வலிமையை ஸ்ட்ராங்கா எடுத்துக்கணும். ஸ்திர புத்தி இருந்துட்டா எல்லாமே ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கும். எது துக்கம் வந்தாலும் சரி சந்தோஷம் வந்தாலும் ஈக்குவலா எடுத்துக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்றாங்க.
10 வருஷம் அதேதான் சொல்லு. சரி
அப்படியே மறந்து
இந்த ஆத்ம ஞானம் பார்க்கறதுக்கு
செஷன் அடுத்த வாரம் வச்சுக்கலாங்களா பஜன்? ஏன்னா அவ்வளவுதான் முடிய போகுது.
இல்ல வீடியோ ஆடியோ
அருட்செல்வி இங்கேயே கட்டுப்படுத்த
வெளியில விட்டுட்டு வேலை
அவங்களே படிக்கணுமா? சரி நான்